What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Canadian Football Fantasy Picks for Week 10 of the 2021 CFL season. I'm Ryan Coop here with another depth chart update for the next two games of week number 10. Of course, the first game of this week played out Wednesday night between the Toronto Argonauts and the Ottawa Red Blacks. Lots of fantasy points to go around in that one, and both teams playing again on Monday. So chances are, for most people, you have your fantasy lineup, most of it locked in already and can't change it, because I saw a lot of lineups with mostly Argos and Red Blacks in it, and mine was too. The only one that I don't have from those two teams currently in my lineup is Jamal Morrow of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a cheap running back option. But there are also, other players that will play this weekend and will put up fantasy points, and maybe you are considering putting them in your lineup. So we're still going to go through the depth charts for these other games, and let's dive into the ones for the Friday and Saturday today, and then for the two Monday games, I'm sure we'll get the depth charts out on Sunday or Monday, and I will have an update on those ones for you as well to get you all set for locking in the rest of your lineup for this week. Let's start with the Friday game between the Bombers and the Elks. Edmonton in Winnipeg to face the Bombers. And on the Winnipeg side of things, the one major change this week is Kenny Lawler is out of the lineup, as mentioned earlier in the week. He is suspended by the team after being arrested for driving under the influence. And many people thought it was going to be Naaman Roosevelt replacing him in the starting lineup for this game. Roosevelt's been there with the team for about a month now. Great receiver. We thought maybe this was finally his chance to get in the lineup. But the Bombers like what they saw from Kelvin McKnight earlier in the year. And, he played 3 games for them earlier this season. And he didn't, have a massive performance in any of them. But he did average 5.7 fantasy points in those 3 games. Probably coming in, $2,500 salary. You're looking at, you need just 6.3 to get 2.5 points per $1,000, which is kind of the mark I go with for full value. So McKnight's kind of been right there as a value play, and the Bombers liked what they've seen from him this year and are giving him another shot in the lineup. So I'm excited to see what McKnight can do in another chance to start here for the Bombers. Zach Collaros starts at quarterback, Sean McGuire the backup, Andrew Harris at running back. At receiver, it's Darvin Adams, Rasheed Bailey, Nick Dembski, Kelvin McKnight, and Drew Wolotarski, who left last game due to injury, but it looks like he's ready to go and is in the starting lineup. And Janarian Grant returning kicks again for the second straight game after returning from injury for the Bombers. On the defensive side of the ball, everything looks pretty much the same as it was the week before. No changes of note to touch on there. Looking at the Edmonton side of things, the one big change for the Elks this week is the return of quarterback Trevor Harris, who missed the past 2 games due to injury. Taylor Cornelius took over in both of those games, and I didn't think he looked too bad. He threw a lot of picks, but he had some bright spots. Averaged 14.3 fantasy points in those 2 games. So Trevor Harris comes back now after missing the past 2. In 5 games on the year, he is averaging 15.7. Last time out against the Bombers, I guess he didn't play. Cornelius played in that one. But in his past 3 games, Trevor Harris going 14.7, 33.3, and 7.3. So an up and down year for Trevor Harris. We'll see how he performs coming back from injury. He gets a little bit of help at center with the return of David Beard, who was out last game, so that's a nice little boost there for the Elks. And other than that, they do line up the same pretty much as they did the week before. James Wilder Jr. at running back, Darrell Walker, Greg Ellingson, Shai Ross, Mike Jones, and Tavon Smith are your starters at receiver. And Jalen Tolliver is a backup behind Shai Ross. And then Terry Williams handling kicks again this week for the Elks. Defensively, nothing too notable from the starting lineup. Looks pretty much the same as it was last week as well. So that's the Friday night game that will be taking place at IG Field in Winnipeg. Let's move to the rematch between the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Saturday. They played last week in Calgary. This one's in Saskatchewan. Let's start with the Calgary side of things. A lot to touch on here. Kamar Jordan is still out for the second straight game. Bo Levi Mitchell's favorite receiver is not ready to come back yet from injury, but Josh Huff is back into the starting lineup. Malik Henry, who handles a lot of the kick returns and did get in the starting lineup and put up a touchdown last game, will be the backup to Josh Huff. So if you were banking on Henry to get another starting role on offense, it doesn't appear that will be the case this week. Last game's breakout star, put up around 16 fantasy points, Sean Bain, is out of the lineup this week, and the guy with my favorite name in the CFL right now, Luther Hakunavan, who draws back into the lineup as a backup. He will be listed as a third string behind Richie Sindani and Colton Hunchak, but there's a couple game time decisions here for the Stampeders as well. Wide receiver Dan Williams III is listed as a starter, but is also noted as a game time decision. And running back Kadeem Carey is also a game time decision. So here's how the Stamps will line up on offense. Bo Levi Mitchell starts at quarterback. There was maybe some question around that last week after he pulled himself late in the game because he aggravated his shoulder. But he's ready to go again and starts at QB. Kadeem Carey listed as the starter at running back, but a game time decision. If he's not ready to go, expect Ante Milanovic-Litre to get the starting role there. Not a bad play, perhaps at a $3,000 salary in CFL Fantasy if that happens, but there is the risk that Carey is ready to go. Josh Huff, Markeith Ambles, Dan Williams III, although noted as a game time decision. Richie Sindani and Herji Mayala are your starting receivers. If Williams isn't ready to go, I would imagine Hunchak or Henry would slide into that starting slot back spot, one of those guys at least. So those are the notables for the Stampeders. Not too many others to touch on there for them either, but definitely a lot of changes at the receiver position and some question marks there for Calgary. And then finally, looking at the Saskatchewan side of things, they added big name addition Duke Williams this past week, but he is not ready to go yet. He is still in the quarantine protocol since joining the team and won't play this week, and I'm not quite sure if he'll be ready to go for next game either. So no Duke Williams yet. You have no Shaq Evans. He is still out. He is limited in practice and not ready to go yet. And no Jordan Williams-Lambert, who is still recovering from injury and has supposedly left the team and gone home to the United States to continue recovering there and be with his family. So it seems like there will be no Jordan Williams-Lambert the rest of the season. This week, the Riders will be rolling with mostly the same lineup as the week before. The one notable, Mitchell Picton is out at wide receiver, and Justin McInnes comes in for the start and will start in his place. The Riders will line up with Cody Fajardo at quarterback, William Powell at running back with Jamal Morrow, the backup behind him and presumably handling kicks as he has been. At wide receiver, you've got Keon Schaefer-Baker, Ricardo Lewis, Braden Lenius, Kyron Moore, and Justin McInnes. And then looking at the defensive side of the ball, among the starters, looks like it's still the same starting crew it was the week before. So those are your depth charts for the Friday and the Saturday game. A couple pieces to touch on there, but by and large, for most of these teams, the same lineups as the week before. As I mentioned off the top of the show, if you want depth chart updates for the games on Monday as well, stay tuned later this weekend. I'll have those. And if you want to see the depth charts, the full depth charts yourself, go to my Twitter account, at CooperTrooper42. There's a link in the description. I tweet out the notables from the depth charts along with the images issued by the teams. I retweet their tweets, so that's an easy, convenient place you can find all the depth charts for the week. If you want more fantasy insight into the players I talked about here, go back, check out the positional previews earlier in the week as well. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you liked, what you didn't. If you have any fantasy questions, put them in the comments section or tweet them at me at CooperShooper42, as I mentioned. And if you want to play CFL Fantasy alongside myself and other viewers, check the video description. There's a link there to the Canadian Football Fantasy Fix group over at the official CFL Fantasy site. Play alongside myself and other viewers this week and every week throughout the 2021 CFL season. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.